Emotional intelligence, Wikipedia audio. Emotional intelligence, also known as emotional quotient and emotional intelligence quotient, is the capability of individuals to recognize their own emotions and those of others, discern between different feelings and label them appropriately, use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior, and manage and/or adjust emotions to adapt to environments or achieve one's goal. Although the term first appeared in a 1964 paper by Michael Belduck, it gained popularity in the 1995 book by that title, written by the author, and science journalist Daniel Goleman. Since this time, Goleman's 1995 analysis of EI has been criticized within the scientific community, despite prolific reports of its usefulness in the popular press. There are currently several models of EI. Goleman's original model may now be considered a mixed model that combines what have subsequently been modeled separately as ability EI and trait EI. Goleman defined EI as the array of skills and characteristics that drive leadership's performance. The trait model was developed by Konstantin Vesely-Petrides in 2001. It encompasses behavioral dispositions and self-perceived abilities and is measured through self-report. The ability model, developed by Peter Salovey and John Mayer in 2004, focuses on the individual's ability to process emotional information and use it to navigate the social environment. History. Studies have shown that people with high EI have greater mental health, job performance, and leadership skills, although no causal relationships have been shown, and such findings are likely to be attributable to general intelligence and specific personality traits rather than emotional intelligence as a construct. For example, Goleman indicated that EI accounted for 67% of the abilities deemed necessary for superior performance in leaders, and mattered twice as much as technical expertise or IQ. Other research finds that the effect of EI on leadership and managerial performance is non-significant when ability and personality are controlled for, and that general intelligence correlates very closely with leadership. Markers of EI and methods of developing it have become more widely coveted in the past decade. In addition, studies have begun to provide evidence to help characterize the neural mechanisms of emotional intelligence. Criticisms have centered on whether EI is a real intelligence and whether it has incremental validity over IQ and the Big Five personality traits. The term emotional intelligence seems first to have appeared in a 1964 paper by Michael Belduck, and in the 1966 paper by Beely Uner entitled Emotional Intelligence and Emancipation, which appeared in the Psychotherapeutic Journal, Practice of Child Psychology and Child Psychiatry. In 1983, Howard Gardner's Frames of Mind, the theory of multiple intelligences, introduced the idea that traditional types of intelligence, such as IQ, fail to fully explain cognitive ability. He introduced the idea of multiple intelligences, which included both interpersonal intelligence and intrapersonal intelligence. The term subsequently appeared in Wayne Payne's doctoral thesis, A Study of Emotion, Developing Emotional Intelligence, from 1985. The first published use of the term EQ is an article by Keith Beasley in 1987 in the British Mensa magazine. In 1989, Stanley Greenspan put forward a model to describe EI, followed by another by Peter Salovey and John Mayer published in the following year. However, the term became widely known with the publication of Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. It is to this book's best-selling status that the term can attribute its popularity. Goleman has followed up with several further popular publications of a similar theme that reinforce use of the term. To date, tests measuring EI have not replaced IQ tests as a standard metric of intelligence. Emotional intelligence has also received criticism on its role in leadership and business success. The distinction between trait emotional intelligence and ability emotional intelligence was introduced in 2000. Definitions. Emotional intelligence can be defined as the ability to monitor one's own and other people's emotions, to discriminate between different emotions and label them appropriately, and to use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior. Emotional intelligence also reflects abilities to join intelligence, empathy, and emotions to enhance thought and understanding of interpersonal dynamics. However, substantial disagreement exists regarding the definition of EI, with respect to both terminology and operationalizations. Currently, there are three main models of EI. Different models of EI have led to the development of various instruments for the assessment of the construct. While some of these measures may overlap, most researchers agree that they tap different constructs. Specific ability models address the ways in which emotions facilitate thought and understanding. For example, emotions may interact with thinking and allow people to be better decision makers. A person who is more responsive emotionally to crucial issues will attend to the more crucial aspects of his or her life. Aspects of emotional facilitation factor is to also know how to include or exclude emotions from thought depending on context and situation. This is also related to emotional reasoning and understanding in response to the people, environment, and circumstances one encounters in his or her day-to-day life. Salovey and Mayer's conception of EI strives to define EI within the confines of the standard criteria for a new intelligence. Following their continuing research, their initial definition of EI was revised to the ability to perceive emotion, integrate emotion to facilitate thought, understand emotions and to regulate emotions to promote personal growth. However, after pursuing further research, their definition of EI evolved into the capacity to reason about emotions, and of emotions, to enhance thinking. It includes the abilities to accurately perceive emotions, to access and generate emotions so as to assist thought, to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. The ability-based model views emotions as useful sources of information that help one to make sense of and navigate the social environment. The model proposes that individuals vary in their ability to process information of an emotional nature and in their ability to relate emotional processing to a wider cognition. This ability is seen to manifest itself in certain adaptive behaviors. The model claims that EI includes 4 types of abilities. The ability EI model has been criticized in the research for lacking face and predictive validity in the workplace. However, in terms of construct validity, ability EI tests have great advantage over self-report scales of EI because they compare individual maximal performance to standard performance scales and do not rely on individuals' endorsement of descriptive statements about themselves. The current measure of Mayer and Salovey's model of EI, the Mayer-Salovey-Caruso Emotional Intelligence Test, is based on a series of emotion-based problem-solving items. Consistent with the model's claim of EI as a type of intelligence, the test is modeled on ability-based IQ tests. By testing a person's abilities on each of the 4 branches of emotional intelligence, it generates scores for each of the branches as well as a total score. Ability model. Measurement. Central to the four-branch model is the idea that EI requires attunement to social norms. Therefore, the misseat is scored in a consensus fashion, with higher scores indicating higher overlap between an individual's answers and those provided by a worldwide sample of respondents. The misseat can also be expert scored, so that the amount of overlap is calculated between an individual's answers and those provided by a group of 21 emotion researchers. Other measurements. Mixed model. Measurement 2. Trait model. Measurement 3. Although promoted as an ability test, the misseat is unlike standard IQ tests in that its items do not have objectively correct responses. Among other challenges, the consensus scoring criterion means that it is impossible to create items that only a minority of respondents can solve, because, by definition, responses are deemed emotionally intelligent only if the majority of the sample has endorsed them. This and other similar problems have led some cognitive ability experts to question the definition of EI as a genuine intelligence. In a study by Flistel, the misseat test results of 111 business leaders were compared with how their employees described their leader. It was found that there were no correlations between a leader's test results and how he or she was rated by the employees, with regard to empathy, ability to motivate, and leader effectiveness. Flistel also criticized the Canadian company Multi Health Systems, which administers the misseat test. The test contains 141 questions, but it was found after publishing the test that 19 of these did not give the expected answers. This has led Multi Health Systems to remove answers to these 19 questions before scoring, but without stating this officially. Various other specific measures have also been used to assess ability in emotional intelligence. These measures include general effects. The model introduced by Daniel Goleman focuses on EI as a wide array of competencies and skills that drive leadership performance. Goleman's model outlines 5 main EI constructs. Goleman includes a set of emotional competencies within each construct of EI. Emotional competencies are not innate talents, but rather learned capabilities that must be worked on and can be developed to achieve outstanding performance. Goleman posits that individuals are born with a general emotional intelligence that determines their potential for learning emotional competencies. Goleman's model of EI has been criticized in the research literature as mere pop psychology. 2 measurement tools are based on the Goleman model. Konstantinos Vasilis Petrides proposed a conceptual distinction between the ability-based model and a trait-based model of EI and has been developing the latter over many years in numerous publications. Trait EI is a constellation of emotional self-perceptions located at the lower levels of personality. In lay terms, trait EI refers to an individual's self-perceptions of their emotional abilities. This definition of EI encompasses behavioral dispositions and self-perceived abilities and is measured by self-report, as opposed to the ability-based model, which refers to actual abilities, which have proven highly resistant to scientific measurement. Trait EI should be investigated within a personality framework. An alternative label for the same construct is trait emotional self-efficacy. The trait EI model is general and subsumes the Goleman model discussed above. The conceptualization of EI as a personality trait leads to a construct that lies outside the taxonomy of human cognitive ability. This is an important distinction in as much as it bears directly on the operationalization of the construct and the theories and hypotheses that are formulated about it. There are many self-report measures of EI, including the EQI, the Swinburne University Emotional Intelligence Test, and the Schutt EI model. None of these assess intelligence, abilities, or skills, but rather, they are limited measures of trait emotional intelligence. The most widely used and widely researched measure of self-report or self-schema emotional intelligence is the EQI 2.0. Originally known as the Barron EQI, it was the first self-report measure of emotional intelligence available, the only measure predating Goleman's best-selling book. There are over 200 studies that have used the EQI or EQI 2.0. It has the best norms, reliability, and validity of any self-report instrument and was the first one reviewed in Burroughs' Mental Measures book. The EQI 2.0 is available in many different languages as it is used worldwide. The TEIK provides an operationalization for the model of Petrides and colleagues, that conceptualizes EI in terms of personality. The test encompasses 15 subscales organized under 4 factors: well-being, self-control, emotionality, and sociability. The psychometric properties of the TEIK were investigated in a study on a French-speaking population, where it was reported that TEIK scores were globally normally distributed and reliable. Criticisms of theoretical foundation. The researchers also found TEIK scores were unrelated to nonverbal reasoning, which they interpreted as support for the personality trait view of EI. As expected, TEIK scores were positively related to some of the Big Five personality traits as well as inversely related to others. A number of quantitative genetic studies have been carried out within the trait EI model, which have revealed significant genetic effects and heritabilities for all trait EI scores. 2 recent studies involving direct comparisons of multiple EI tests yielded very favorable results for the TEIK. A review published in the Journal of Annual Psychology found that higher emotional intelligence is positively correlated with cannot be recognized as form of intelligence. Goleman's early work has been criticized for assuming from the beginning that EI is a type of intelligence or cognitive ability. Eysenck writes that Goleman's description of EI contains unsubstantiated assumptions about intelligence in general, and that it even runs contrary to what researchers have come to expect when studying types of intelligence. Exemplifies more clearly than most the fundamental absurdity of the tendency to class almost any type of behavior as an intelligence. If these 5 abilities define emotional intelligence, we would expect some evidence that they are highly correlated. Goleman admits that they might be quite uncorrelated, and in any case if we cannot measure them, how do we know they are related? So the whole theory is built on quicksand, there is no sound scientific basis. Confusing skills with moral qualities. Has little predictive value. Criticisms of measurement. Similarly, Locke claims that the concept of EI is in itself a misinterpretation of the intelligence construct, and he offers an alternative interpretation. It is not another form or type of intelligence, but intelligence, the ability to grasp abstractions applied to a particular life domain, emotions. He suggests the concept should be relabeled and referred to as a skill. The essence of this criticism is that scientific inquiry depends on valid and consistent construct utilization, and that before the introduction of the term EI, psychologists had established theoretical distinctions between factors such as abilities and achievements, skills and habits, attitudes and values, and personality traits and emotional states. Thus, some scholars believe that the term EI merges and conflates such accepted concepts and definitions. Adam Grant warned of the common but mistaken perception of EI as a desirable moral quality rather than a skill, Grant asserting that a well-developed EI is not only an instrumental tool for accomplishing goals, but has a dark side as a weapon for manipulating others by robbing them of their capacity to reason. Landy claimed that the few incremental validity studies conducted on EI have shown that it adds little or nothing to the explanation or prediction of some common outcomes. Landy suggested that the reason why some studies have found a small increase in predictive validity is a methodological fallacy, namely, that alternative explanations have not been completely considered. EI is compared and contrasted with a measure of abstract intelligence but not with a personality measure, or with a personality measure but not with a measure of academic intelligence. Landy. Similarly, other researchers have raised concerns about the extent to which self-report EI measures correlate with established personality dimensions. Generally, self-report EI measures and personality measures have been said to converge because they both purport to measure personality traits. Specifically, there appear to be two dimensions of the Big Five that stand out as most related to self-report EI: neuroticism and extroversion. In particular, neuroticism has been said to relate to negative emotionality and anxiety. Intuitively, individuals scoring high on neuroticism are likely to score low on self-report EI measures. The interpretations of the correlations between EI questionnaires and personality have been varied. The prominent view in the scientific literature is the trait EI view, which reinterprets EI as a collection of personality traits. One criticism of the works of Mayer and Solovey comes from a study by Roberts et al., which suggests that the EI, as measured by the misseat, may only be measuring conformity. This argument is rooted in the misseat's use of consensus-based assessment, and in the fact that scores on the misseat are negatively distributed. Further criticism has been leveled by Brody, who claimed that unlike tests of cognitive ability, the misseat tests knowledge of emotions but not necessarily the ability to perform tasks that are related to the knowledge that is assessed. The main argument is that even though someone knows how he should behave in an emotionally laden situation, it doesn't necessarily follow that the person could actually carry out the reported behavior. New research is surfacing that suggests that ability EI measures might be measuring personality in addition to general intelligence. These studies examined the multivariate effects of personality and intelligence on EI and also corrected estimates for measurement error. For example, a study by Schult, Re, Coretta, showed that general intelligence, agreeableness, as well as gender could reliably be used to predict the measure of EI ability. They gave a multiple correlation of 0.81 with the misseat. This result has been replicated by Fiori and Antonakis. They found a multiple R of 0.76 using Cattell's culture fair intelligence test and the Big Five inventory. Significant covariates were intelligence, agreeableness, and openness. Antonakis and Dietz, who investigated the ability emotional intelligence measure, found similar results, with significant predictors being intelligence, standardized beta equals 0.69, and empathy, standardized beta equals 0.26. See also Antonakis and Dietz, who show how including or excluding important controls variables can fundamentally change results. Thus, it is important to always include important controls like personality and intelligence when examining the predictive validity of ability and trait EI models. More formally termed socially desirable responding, faking good is defined as a response pattern in which test takers systematically represent themselves with an excessive positive bias. This bias has long been known to contaminate responses on personality inventories, acting as a mediator of the relationships between self-report measures. It has been suggested that responding in a desirable way is a response set, which is a situational and temporary response pattern. This is contrasted with a response style, which is a more long-term trait-like quality. Considering the contexts some self-report EI inventories are used in, the problems of response sets in high-stakes scenarios become clear. There are a few methods to prevent socially desirable responding on behavior inventories. Some researchers believe it is necessary to warn test takers not to fake good before taking a personality test. Some inventories use validity scales in order to determine the likelihood or consistency of the responses across all items. Landy distinguishes between the commercial wing and the academic wing of the EI movement, basing this distinction on the alleged predictive power of EI as seen by the two currents. According to Landy, the former makes expansive claims on the applied value of EI, while the latter is trying to warn users against these claims. As an example, Goleman asserts that the most effective leaders are alike in one crucial way: they all have a high degree of what has come to be known as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the sine qua non of leadership. In contrast, Mayer cautions the popular literature's implication that highly emotionally intelligent people possess an unqualified advantage in life appears overly enthusiastic at present and unsubstantiated by reasonable scientific standards. Landy further reinforces this argument by noting that the data upon which these claims are based are held in proprietary databases, which means they are unavailable to independent researchers for reanalysis, replication, or verification. Thus, the credibility of the findings cannot be substantiated in a scientific way, unless those datasets are made public and available for independent analysis. In an academic exchange, Antonakis and Ashkenazi/Dasborough mostly agreed that researchers testing whether EI matters for leadership have not done so using robust research designs. Therefore, currently there is no strong evidence showing that EI predicts leadership outcomes when accounting for personality and IQ. Antonakis argued that EI might not be needed for leadership effectiveness. A recently published meta-analysis seems to support the Antonakis position. In fact, Harms and Creed found that overall, EI measures correlated only ρ equals 0.11 with measures of transformational leadership. Interestingly, ability measures of EI fared worst, the OLAs did a bit better, and the Bar-on measure better still. However, the validity of these estimates does not include the effects of IQ or the Big Five personality, which correlate both with EI measures and leadership. In a subsequent paper analyzing the impact of EI on both job performance and leadership, Harms and Creed found that the meta-analytic validity estimates for EI dropped to 0 when Big Five traits and IQ were controlled for. Joseph and Newman meta-analytically showed the same result for ability EI. However, it is important to note that self-reported and trait EI measures retain a fair amount of predictive validity for job performance after controlling Big Five traits and IQ. Newman, Joseph, and Mackin contend that the greater predictive validity of trait EI measures is due to their inclusion of content related to achievement motivation, self-efficacy, and self-rated performance. Meta-analytic evidence confirms that self-reported emotional intelligence predicting job performance is due to mixed EI and trait EI measures tapping into self-efficacy and self-rated performance, in addition to the domains of neuroticism, extroversion, conscientiousness, and IQ. As such, the predictive ability of mixed EI to job performance drops to nil when controlling for these factors. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development has recognized that because there are divisions about the topic of emotional intelligence, the mental health community needs to agree on some guidelines to describe good mental health and positive mental living conditions. In their section, Positive Psychology and the Concept of Health, they explain. Currently there are 6 competing models of positive health, which are based on concepts such as being above normal, character strengths and core virtues, developmental maturity, social emotional intelligence, subjective well-being, and resilience. But these concepts define health in philosophical rather than empirical terms. Dr. Becker suggested the need for a consensus on the concept of positive psychological health. Bullying is abusive social interaction between peers which can include aggression, harassment, and violence. Bullying is typically repetitive and enacted by those who are in a position of power over the victim. A growing body of research illustrates a significant relationship between bullying and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a set of abilities related to the understanding, use, and management of emotion as it relates to oneself and others. Mayer et al. Defines the dimensions of overall EI as accurately perceiving emotion, using emotions to facilitate thought, understanding emotion, and managing emotion. The concept combines emotional and intellectual processes. Lower emotional intelligence appears to be related to involvement in bullying, as the bully and/or the victim of bullying. EI seems to play an important role in both bullying behavior and victimization in bullying. Given that EI is illustrated to be malleable, EI education could greatly improve bullying prevention and intervention initiatives. Research of EI and job performance shows mixed results. A positive relation has been found in some of the studies, while in others there was no relation or an inconsistent one. This led researchers Coate and Miners to offer a compensatory model between EI and IQ, that posits that the association between EI and job performance becomes more positive as cognitive intelligence decreases, an idea first proposed in the context of academic performance. The results of the former study supported the compensatory model. Employees with low IQ get higher task performance and organizational citizenship behavior directed at the organization, the higher their EI. It has also been observed that there is no significant link between emotional intelligence and work attitude behavior. A more recent study suggests that EI is not necessarily a universally positive trait. They found a negative correlation between EI and managerial work demands, while under low levels of managerial work demands, they found a negative relationship between EI and teamwork effectiveness. An explanation for this may suggest gender differences in EI, as women tend to score higher levels than men. This furthers the idea that job context plays a role in the relationships between EI, teamwork effectiveness, and job performance. Another interesting find was discussed in a study that assessed a possible link between EI and entrepreneurial behaviors and success. Although studies between emotional intelligence and job performance has shown mixed results of high and low correlations, EI is undeniably better predictor than most of the hiring methods commonly used in companies, such as letter of references, cover letter, among others. By 2008, 147 companies and consulting firms in U.S. had developed programs that involved EI for training and hiring employees. Van Rooij and Viswesvaran showed that EI correlated significantly with different domains in performance, ranging from 0.24 for job performance to 0.10 for academic performance. These findings may contribute organizations in different ways. For instance, employees high on EI would be more aware of their own emotions and from others, which in turn could lead companies to better profits and less unnecessary expenses. This is especially important for expatriate managers, who have to deal with mixed emotions and feelings, while adapting to a new working culture. Moreover, employees high in EI show more confidence in their roles, which allow them to face demanding tasks positively. According to a popular science book by the journalist Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence accounts for more career success than IQ. Similarly, other studies argued that employees high on EI perform substantially better than employees low in EI. This measured by self-reports and different work performance indicators, such as wages, promotions, and salary increase. According to Lopes and his colleagues, EI contributes to develop strong and positive relationships with coworkers and perform efficiently in work teams. This benefits performance of workers by providing emotional support and instrumental resources needed to succeed in their roles. Also, emotional intelligent employees have better resources to cope with stressing situations and demanding tasks, which enable them to outperform in those situations. For instance, Law et al. Found that EI was the best predictor of job performance beyond general cognitive ability among IT scientists in computer company in China. Similarly, SY, Tram, and O'Hara found that EI was associated positively with job performance in employees from a food service company. In the job performance emotional intelligence correlation is important to consider the effects of managing up, which refers to the good and positive relationship between the employee and his/her supervisor. Previous research found that quality of this relationship could interfere in the results of the subjective rating of job performance evaluation. Emotional intelligent employees devote more of their working time on managing their relationship with supervisors. Hence, the likelihood of obtaining better results on performance evaluation is greater for employees high in EI than for employees with low EI. Based on theoretical and methodological approaches, EI measures are categorized in three main streams: Stream 1, ability-based measures; Stream 2, self-reports of abilities measures; and Stream 3, mixed models, which include measures of EI and traditional social skills. O'Boyle Jr. and his colleagues found that the three EI streams together had a positive correlation of 0.28 with job performance. Similarly, each of EI streams independently obtained a positive correlation of 0.24, 0.30, and 0.28, respectively. Stream 2 and 3 showed an incremental validity for predicting job performance over and above personality and general cognitive ability. Both, Stream 2 and 3 were the second most important predictor of job performance below general cognitive ability. Stream 2 explained 13.6% of the total variance, whereas Stream 3 explained 13.2%. In order to examine the reliability of these findings, a publication bias analysis was developed. Results indicated that studies on EI job performance correlation prior to 2010 do not present substantial evidences to suggest the presence of publication bias. Despite the validity of previous findings, some researchers still question whether EI job performance correlation makes a real impact on business strategies. They argue that popularity of emotional intelligence's studies is due to media advertising, rather than objective scientific findings. Also, it is mentioned that relationship between job performance and EI is not as strong as suggested. This relationship requires the presence of other constructs to raise important outcomes. For instance, previous studies found that EI is positively associated with teamwork effectiveness under job contexts of high managerial work demands, which improves job performance. This is due to activation of strong emotions during performance on this job context. In this scenario, emotional intelligent individuals show a better set of resources to succeed on their roles. However, individuals with high EI show a similar level of performance than non-emotional intelligent employees under different job contexts. Moreover, Joseph and Newman suggested that emotional perception and emotional regulation components of EI highly contribute to job performance under job contexts of high emotional demands. Moon and Her found that emotional exhaustion significantly influences the job performance-EI relationship. Emotional exhaustion showed a negative association with two components of EI. This association impacted negatively to job performance, as well. Hence, job performance-EI relationship is stronger under contexts of high emotional exhaustion or burnout. In other words, employees with high levels of optimism and social skills possess better resources to outperform when facing high emotional exhaustion contexts. A 2007 meta-analysis of 44 effect sizes by Schutt found that emotional intelligence was associated with better mental and physical health. Particularly, trait EI had the stronger association with mental and physical health. This was replicated again in 2010 by researcher Alexandra Martin, who found trait EI as a strong predictor for health after conducting a meta-analysis based on 105 effect sizes and 19,815 participants. This meta-analysis also indicated that this line of research reached enough sufficiency and stability in concluding EI as a positive predictor for health. A small 2004 study by Ellen Peake empirically examined the extent to which religiosity, operationalized as religious orientation and religious behavior, is related to the controversial idea of emotional intelligence. The study examined the extent to which religious orientation and behavior were related to self-reported EI in 148 church-attending adult Christians. Non-religious individuals were not part of the study. The study found that the individual's self-reported religious orientation was positively correlated with their perceiving themselves to have greater EI. While the number of religious group activities was positively associated with perceived EI, number of years of church attendance was unrelated. Significant positive correlations were also found between level of religious commitment and perceived EI. Thus, the Christian volunteers were more likely to consider themselves emotionally intelligent if they spent more time in group activities and had more commitment to their beliefs. Tischler, Biberman, and McKeej warn that there is still ambiguity in the above concepts. In their 2002 article, entitled Linking Emotional Intelligence, Spirituality, and Workplace Performance, Definitions, Models, and Ideas for Research, they reviewed literature on both EI and various aspects of spirituality. They found that both EI and spirituality appear to lead to similar attitudes, behaviors, and skills, and that there often seems to be confusion, intersection, and linking between the two constructs. A 2012 study cross-examined emotional intelligence, self-esteem, and marijuana dependence. Out of a sample of 200, 100 of whom were dependent on cannabis and the other 100 emotionally healthy, the dependent group scored exceptionally low on EI when compared to the control group. They also found that the dependent group also scored low on self-esteem when compared to the control. Another study in 2010 examined whether or not low levels of EI had a relationship with the degree of drug and alcohol addiction. In the assessment of 103 residents in a drug rehabilitation center, they examined their EI along with other psychosocial factors in a 1-month interval of treatment. They found that participants' EI scores improved as their levels of addiction lessened as part of their treatment. Ability Model 2 measures conformity, not ability. Measures knowledge, not ability. Measures personality and general intelligence. Self-report measures susceptible to faking. Predictive power unsubstantiated. Naked pushes for consensus. Interactions with other phenomena. Bullying. Job performance. Health. Religiosity. Self-esteem and drug use.